Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. I really had some meaningful conversations over the last few weeks with other people in the industry, people more aligned with the real estate community and different referral systems and different tools that people are using, conversations, about uh, mergers that we've seen in the news and artificial intelligence and all these different things has a lot of people talking and I really wanted to present my view on things because I think we're at a place with the first quarter of 2025 pretty much in the books, that we have this discussion. So I really want to have the conversation about some things that are going on because change in the industry is real. We see it from time to time. Sometimes they're minimal changes. Sometimes they're pretty extreme. And we've all heard the old expression: if you do what you've always done, you're going to get the results that you've always gotten. And if you're not happy with what you're getting, then you've got to stop doing what you've been doing. And so we've heard that, but I want to take that a step further because I don't think that's as true as it used to be because our business doesn't live in a vacuum. Outside forces are always in motion and redefining the space that we work in and how the business models look. And you must really remain aware of those forces and how it's going to impact your business because if what you've been doing has been working great, it doesn't mean because it has been working great, it's going to continue working great. And so, as both mortgage and real estate deal with those outside forces, we've got to look at this and understand how it's beginning to reshape, both of those industries. And more emphasis being put on, technology. Um, in general, there's a lot less expectation of a personal experience. And with that combined with more pressure on margins and lower total revenue per transactions, again, while these things are not absolute, the reality of it is we're all looking at these changes and understand what we're going to do to continue to grow our business. Um, and as a lot of the things that used to be done, mechanically and individually, they're giving way to technology. And with AI and the technology that we're seeing, you've got to start preparing for the fact that, you know, automated systems are eliminating personnel. Fewer and fewer people, thinner margins, and those thinner margins are, forcing the issue where we need to complete more and more transactions with the remaining people. And the sheer number of opportunities and revenue streams are going to have to grow as well. And all those things have to be taken into account because, you know, it is a change in the business. And some of this is morphing in a way that we know that there's going to be change, which specific direction it takes. And so, what I wanted to do is over the next few weeks, I wanted to break a few things down. I wanted to bring a couple of people into this forum and have a conversation, um, both on the mortgage and the real estate side, because I truly believe that the realtor lender relationship is certainly one that's never going to disappear. But as we've seen with the changes with NAR, what we've seen with the changes in technology, what we've seen in the changes of commission rates on the side of the real estate, part of the business, people are having to look at business models. People have to look at those relationships and figure out, how you're going to succeed and plan your business accordingly to these changes because mortgage and real estate is going to continue to evolve. When I first got into the business, 80 to 90% of mortgage leads were directly being dealt through, the hands of a realtor, right? And so a lot of the individuals in this industry on the mortgage side were, spending most of their time, if not all of their time, working on building and maintaining real estate relationships. And now, that number has fallen probably in the neighborhood of 25% of those referrals are now controlled by those agents. And, you know, a lot of people are still 100% committed to that flow. And, as the number of agents continues to go smaller, as the number of mortgage people tends to go smaller, with all these things happening, we're gonna have to look at the relationship and figure out, how we're gonna build those relationships. How are we gonna build those, as Terry Murphy and I labeled more than 20 years ago, the golden partnerships that can be formed when people in the mortgage industry and people in the real estate side learn to work together, effectively and efficiently. And I think you've got to look at the relationship between mortgage and real estate and understand, it's let's just take a look at, television over, a couple of generations, right? It was my first television again in the 50s and the 60s was a black and white, you know, 13-inch screen TV, right? And we moved to color, and then they moved bigger and bigger, and then tubeless TVs were gone, and we went from a handful of channels to hundreds, if not thousands, of channels, and then there was, the ability to record, and then there was that battle between VHS and Betamax, right? Which one was going to win? And we all thought that that was going to be, the latest and the greatest. And before you know it, it evolved into CDs. And then, the half-life of CDs led to DVDs. And we dealt with, Blu-ray and all these different things. And then the half-life of that disappeared into digital recordings, to now, a whole portfolio of streaming services which may be watched on 100+ inch HD TV 4K televisions down to your cell phone. And all of those technologies are now portable. And understanding how all these things play into each other, where the dynamics of the business goes, and how those systems are going to work are things you may not want to take part in all of it, but you need to be aware of all of it and then understand your own business, the own dynamic of your marketplaces, and how you're going to blend the tools and technologies that are available to you as an individual, as well as the relationships that you have with different types of people. So beginning next week, I'm gonna start, having conversations, with, about margins and revenue. Then we can, start morphing into systems and tools. We're going to spend some time doing a deeper dive, uh, into old versus newer business models, how those business models are being established now, what people are seeing, and the direction some of those things are taking. I'm going to try to bring in again some guests who are well versed in other parts of the industry that I'm not working with firsthand, both in the mortgage side and on the real estate side, to get their, feedback on what's happening and the direction things are taking and who the players are becoming and what models are available. Because I think it's important that here we have these discussions and that we can keep pace of what's going on, and being able to look at it and say, okay, here's where things are going. Here are the types of things that are becoming available. Do I get out in front of some of these things and commit to a process? Do I give it time and see how some things evolve? Do I look and have these discussions in my own limited domain, area? Do I look at a bigger trend in my market or within my company, and what those options look like? So lots of questions that we're going to deal with. If you have any questions you'd like me to go over and make sure that I share and get answered for you with other professionals, both in the mortgage and real estate side. Again, it's a simple email, mike@imtcoaching.com. Talk to you again next week. Take care.